Morning, guys. Nice to be with you for another edition of our tea time together on a Thursday morning. Actually, when I'm recording this, it is Candlemas, February 2nd, the Feast of the Presentation of the Lord. The kids have the bishop coming to their school today to say Mass. I so wish that I could be there, but even though it's technically before my first class of the day, it would have been too much of a rush to make it here and then over to the other library that I teach at, find a parking spot, and be ready to teach when I need to start at 11 a.m. So that's a bummer. But in happy news, my parish is having a Thursday evening mass this week for, I think they usually have actually, I have never gone, sadly, at 5:30. And they have a daily mass, and because it's the vigil, if you will, of the Feast of St. Blaise, whose feast is Friday, February 3rd, they are doing the blessing of the throats. So I'm going to go to that tonight and bring Anne, as long as she doesn't object to going to church twice in one day. And I'm excited about that. Henry, I know, would object to going to church twice in one day, so I'm pretty sure he's not going to come with me. But they go to, obviously, a Catholic school. And so they always do the blessing of the throats right on the feast day. The priest comes to all the classes and does that. So they'll have their throats blessed tomorrow. Henry will have his throat blessed tomorrow. So that's perking me up a little bit. But as I have been talking about, this is my first week back for the spring semester. Spring semester starts very late here where I work because there is a winter term that begins right after the new year. And so they've been doing that now for 3 or 4 years, I guess. And it bumps the spring term back because it used to be that the spring term would start right after the Martin Luther King holiday. And now it's a few weeks later. And being that I'm an employee here, and many of us take off as vacation time the week between the holidays because it's so quiet here and really nothing going on campus, and some of the libraries are even closed on this campus, and so business is super light and most people take vacation, so you're not here for a good portion of the break time between the semesters. And then once January rolls around, it used to be felt like the spring started too quickly because then you tried to get things done between the semesters. There wasn't really a lot of time after the holidays. Now there's plenty of time, so that was lovely. We had really a month to work on lesson planning and getting ready for spring before this past Monday. And so this past Monday came, as that they are wont to do, and the semester started. And I'm sure you know that I was somewhat apprehensive about it and just trying to have a good attitude. Well, I guess I have partially succeeded with that. It's almost the end of the first week. I haven't started my classes yet for today. Like I was explaining earlier, I've got 2 today, I've got 2 more tomorrow. So almost through the first full week, I guess. And I would say that I'm in better shape than I was in the fall when things were a lot more frantic and we all had a lot more classes even. And we still have a lot right now, but we had even more. So this is somewhat better. But if I'm being honest, which I always am on here, it's still really not great. And I have struggled. I have struggled this week because I do not enjoy my job anymore. And that is a really difficult thing for me to say because I love, and I really mean that, I love the people I work with. I'm friends with them. And so that really helps in terms of my, my work life happiness. But with regards to what we're doing on a daily basis, it has become such a grind. And, I know that it's still early. This is only the second semester that we're employing this new model with a brand new curriculum here. And so it's going to take years really for it to hammer out. And it has already improved from the fall, so that's a good thing. But it doesn't make it easy every morning to get up and come in when I just don't enjoy what we're doing. And so I've been struggling with that big time. And the reason that I don't enjoy it is simply because it's so monotonous. It's not that I dislike teaching, because I love teaching. It's not that I dislike what we're teaching, because I think that what we're teaching is very important. But we're just teaching it so many times, and so we have the same lesson that we'll start with on Monday, and then we teach that exact same lesson to different groups of students a total of 10 or 11 times in a week. In the fall, it was much worse because I was doing that 15 times. So yeah, this is better because it's less, but it still becomes, it's just monotonous, and it gets boring by the end of the week. I suppose each class is a little bit different because it's a different group of students. So when you have discussions and such, different things come up. But that's not all that different, right? It's still the exact, every class you do these things. It's not very fulfilling. There, I said it. And I don't know that it's going to change all that much in the future. It's going to change somewhat because it's going to be an organic process, but it's still going to be the load. There's just not that many of us. We are hiring one more librarian. I suppose that'll help, but there's a lot of sections of this course. There's other courses we really should be teaching in. So if we change the way we teach in this course, we're going to have to then also teach in the other courses, which would then provide some diversity of what we're teaching. That would be lovely. So we'll see. I mean, maybe that'll be better, but it's definitely just a heavy load. It's a very heavy load, and there's just not a lot of, so then it would be 2 courses. But then we'd be doing the same things in just those 2 courses. So I would like to have more things that I do. I'd like to go back to doing reference, and I'd like to go back to doing collection development, which, that's another stressor. I have a fund that I need to buy some books for, and I have had no time. The fiscal year ends in July, so I have to do that at some point this spring. I don't know when, because now I have to spend the entire fund, so it's going to take some time. That's ideally something that you do throughout the year, and there's no ability to do that, and my supervisor is in the same boat. She's perfectly aware of that, so it's I don't even know what else to say, I guess. It has not been an easy week, because I'm just at this point where I want to do something different, and I just don't really know exactly how that's going to happen. So, bringing this full circle, today, February 2nd, is the start to the Our Lady of Lourdes Novena. And I'm praying that with some friends, and that includes you if you're praying it. Her feast is February 11th. PrayMoreNovenas.com. This is reminding me to put a couple links in the show notes. They are hosting the novena. I don't know that I linked to them in my little sticky page on the blog, but I'll fix that as soon as I'm finished and link to them. They're hosting it so that you can get the email reminders every day. I will be tweeting those out every day as well if you follow me on Twitter. So we are using this opportunity to pray for each other. So whoever is praying for me, we do this little mystery novena thing where we each pray for somebody else in the group, but you don't know who's praying for you until the novena is done. But we prepare a wish list of our intentions so your person knows what to pray for. So I have this on the list of intentions. So whoever's praying for me will be praying for this, which I'm so grateful for. And I'm praying for one of their intentions. And so I'm just going to kind of let this lie for a little bit. I have an idea with regards to my job, which I don't want to say anything about because it's just an idea at this point. And that is on my list for my novena prayer to pray about. And at the end of the novena, I will decide if I'm going to pursue that or not. So that's where that stands. I'm very grateful that I can kind of absorb myself in that, in the novena, and allow that to take my mind off of it. The other thing that has been taking my mind off of it is this, Live Today Well, the book that we're reading on the blog right now as part of a winter, spring, so this is winter ordinary time, Lent book club. based upon the writings of St. Francis de Sales. I love this book. We just finished chapter 2, so we're not very far. I will link to all of the posts in the show notes, but I pretty much need to kind of tape this to my face. I had it with me yesterday because I was going to write the blog post over my lunch, which I did, and that helped right in between my classes. And then I took it home so that I could put it beside me at my spot on the couch where I knit and sit in the evenings so that I could read it over the weekend, chapter 3. Well, I forgot to take it out of my bag. And so when I got in this morning, I saw it and I thought, this is fortuitous. This is God telling me that I need to take this with me when I teach. And I need to just open it up and look at some of the things that I've underlined and just remember that I'm employing these strategies throughout my day and when I teach. And I need to keep doing these things. There were some comments by book club readers on chapter 2 yesterday that really, really struck a chord with me. That commenting on chapter 2 and about Melanie. Hold on, let me look because I want to make sure I'm getting this right. Live Today Well, chapter 2. That's where we are right now. We're reading it's Robin. Robin wrote in that, okay, so one of the things that the book says is that holiness, is achieved little by little. So that was one of the points that came out in chapter 2. Let me scroll up here really fast. So there were these 3 points in chapter 2 that are part of this Salesian approach, this simple approach to holiness of St. Francis de Sales. And so let me go through them really quick. So number 1 was the pursuit of holiness within the everyday experience of our lives. Okay, so for me, that is me being a wife and a mother, and it's me right now being a teaching librarian, and this is my job. It may be that I would like to do something else in the future within librarianship, but that does not change where I'm at right now. And so my everyday experience is where I am going to grow, and I need to look at it for where I am right now. Very, very important. Number 2, personal growth takes place little by little. So this is what Robin was referring to. And so I have in the post here also from the book. He recognizes, so St. Francis, from his own experience, that personal transformation is a lifelong process and that it does not come easy. For that reason, he often reminds people not to be overwhelmed by their desire for holiness, but instead to attend to their spiritual growth gently by taking small yet continual steps forward. So this is what Robin is referring to. That sometimes, and actually let me just read her comment because it's really, really good. So, okay. So she says, sometimes challenging circumstances unfold in my life, and I ask myself, where is this going? Yes, Robin, yes. Where is this going? Why is God keeping me here without changing anything when all I want is full resolution? Can I just say amen? That's exactly how I feel right now. But here's the crux, right? The little by little concept of personal growth made me think that I might not always be ready for the pieces to fall neatly into place. Maybe God is doing a work somehow in me, in others, in the situation itself, or in all 3. Robin, yes, yes, yes. And he needs for things to stay messy for a time so that I have the freedom to grow little by little towards his end goal and towards an increase in holiness. If only I could be patient with the process. Solidarity. Okay, so I really took that to heart this morning in a positive way because I relate so much to what you said, Robin. That's exactly where I am right now. And the fact of the matter is that there have been other messy circumstances throughout my life when I was younger. And I always reacted the same way as I'm starting to react right now, which is to say, I don't like this. I want it to be different. And so I'm going to do something else, and I'm going to make that happen because I'm not happy with what this is. I really think this would make me happier. How has that worked out? You may ask, dear listener. It has not always worked out very well. When I get very impulsive and sometimes say desperate because like this is making me unhappy, I think that would make me happier. I am going to, even if it doesn't really seem like the doors are opening in that other direction, I am determined that that is going to make me happier. And so therefore I am going to continue moving in that direction. Well, I am here to tell you after all of these years of experience that when the doors are not opening in that other direction, that is a sign. Now that seems very obvious, doesn't it, right now as we're here together having tea? But in the moment, if you have a spontaneous, impulsive nature like I sometimes do, it does not seem so obvious. And you want to just keep pushing that forward because you're determined that you are right if you're Tiffany. And so finally, it only took 40 years. Finally, I am at the point where I say to myself, gee, maybe even though that really seems exciting and that really seems like it would be better, maybe now's not the right time. Maybe that's not quite the right opportunity. Maybe I just need to keep going and just not just same old, same old. You know, sometimes we can just accept something and never try for something else because we're afraid of the change. So that's not what I'm talking about. But sometimes just being patient and waiting in joyful expectation, being ready maybe to try for something else if it seems like that door's open. Prepare yourself, but you don't necessarily make a big leap and do it in a big hurry. And that's what I was taking from Robin's comment this morning, is that I just need to wait and see. Maybe prepare to open yourself up to allow for a change, because I also am averse to change. So I've got these two different, totally different, depending on the situation, aspects of my personality. So you want to be ready and willing to change if it really would be better, but you don't want to force anything, because forcing things can really turn out badly. Really turn out badly. And I've had that happen to me a number of times. So I'm glad that I'm finally taking that into consideration. And so that's where I am right now, and taping this to my face, trying to remember all of these little words of wisdom from St. Francis de Sales. So I mentioned that there were 3 points. I'll just read the third. The third in this simple approach to holiness is personal transformation works most effectively when it moves from the inside out. St. Francis teaches us to act in such a way that we become, through practice, ever more conscious of the divine presence in our midst, and ever more intentional in the human choices that we make in response to that presence. And so sometimes I mention this in a post from this week that I will also link to. Hold on, let me just write that down so I don't forget. What was the other thing? Pray no more novenas. Okay, I'll get those in there later. I'm going to forget what I was going to say. This happens to me all the time. The third thing, the practice. Yes. Okay. I wrote about this a little bit earlier in the week, that sometimes it's just an act of the will, you know, and so even though I'm not feeling very enthusiastic about teaching the same thing, let me see, what time am I on now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the 7. I'm on number 7 out of 10. Exact same thing. I'm not finding it very enjoyable or intellectually stimulating, like I mentioned earlier. Yet, it doesn't matter that that's the way that I feel. It matters that this is what I am called to do, and so therefore I make the choice that I'm going to do it anyway. I mean, of course I'm going to do it anyway, but I should do it anyway in such a way that it's actually, I'm making the choice to be happy and as enthusiastic as I possibly can about it, and to bring and infuse some sense of joy, even if that comes totally from within. It may not come from the external situation because I really don't feel like being there right then. But if I take my joy from within, and there's a lot, I'm very happy in every other arena of my life. And there are even some arenas of my job that I'm still happy with. Like I mentioned, the people that I work with, they're wonderful. So I should take that joy, that gratitude that I do have this excellent situation in the people that I work with, my supervisor. I could not ask for a better situation. So I should take the joy from that and infuse it into my teaching, even where I'm just feeling utterly exhausted and utterly uninspired. I should infuse it with that joy, and it will make it come out inspired because I have made the choice that that's what I'm going to do. So that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the week. That's my strategy. What is your strategy for dealing with situations like this at work? I think most people can relate to this. I mean, I know that sometimes people really love their jobs. I used to really love my job, everything about my job. Now I only love some things about it and not others. But I think on the whole, everybody can relate to, at some point of your life, having a job that was just like, okay, you're up. This is how we pay the bills. And so you go in and you get it done. And so, do you relate to any of this? How do you motivate yourself to get through those types of things in life? Do you relate to any of the things I was just talking about with regards to Robin's comment and growing little by little and having this transformation from the inside out? Maybe things take longer than we'd like it to take, but we have to look at the bigger picture. We can't always look at the bigger picture, but trying to see that perhaps God is leading us towards a bigger picture that will become clear in time. What do you think about all of these things? I await your wisdom with much joyful anticipation. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, and if you're watching the Super Bowl, I hope you have a great time enjoying some good conversation with friends and family and enjoying some good food and drink. I will be with you again next week. Whenever I have time to write, I will squeeze it in. And I just really very much treasure your friendship and the time that we get to spend together and our conversations. I will talk to you all soon. Bye.